All right, everybody. Hey, we are back from a break. We are going to kick some ass as we wrap up today. We are so excited, so blessed to have our amazing, award-winning, beautiful, smart, intelligent Rhonda Britten join us today. You may not know her, but if you don't, you need to. She's an Emmy Award winner, actress. She is a daytime Emmy. She's friends with Oprah. She had her own show on TV for a while. Also, if I remember correctly, you were also the counselor for The Biggest Loser at one point. Is that correct?
I was the first life coach on television in the world. I've done 600 episodes of television. I was on Celebrity Fit Club, which is what you're talking about. I had 3 seasons on Starting Over, which I was named America's favorite life coach. And then I had a show all over the world called Help Me Rhonda. I was actually the first life coach ever to do changing lives on TV.
Well, great. You're going to change some lives on Note C.A.M.P here for those that are fearful of failure or success. So help us, Rhonda.
Well, thank you, Scott. I am so excited to be here. So the first thing that I want to say right off the bat is feel free to ask me questions as we go. I have a material that I have to share with you. And if we get to it, great. If we don't get to it because your questions are more important, that's great too. So I love questions and I love interaction. So don't hesitate because I'm on a roll. Now, this is the thing. I know that Scott probably already told you to get paper and pen out earlier today, but just make sure if you do not have it handy that you have some paper and pen. Because what we're going to do together is I'm going to start talking you through how fear works. Now, I don't know about you, but really, fear is it, right? I mean, like, you can do all the other self-help you want, but if you don't have that real understanding about how fear works and how to use it to change your life, the other things will be good skills and tools when you're not in fear, but when you're in fear, you will be stopped. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So Scott, are we ready to go?
We're ready to go. I'm going to actually shrink my camera down so you see you there, but I'll still be listening and commenting and asking questions, but it'll allow you to do whatever you need to do. All right.
Perfect. Great. I love it. Okay. So I am going to be sharing a PowerPoint. And again, I'll be coming in and out of the PowerPoint to talk to you. But again, feel free to ask questions as we go. So that's just a little bit about me. And what are you afraid of? Now, I want you to think even beyond your business, because I'm going to say something crazy. I know this is going to sound crazy to you. But what I've recognized is so many of our business fears are actually tied to our relationship fears. So I want you to really be open about how your fears come into being as we go through this, through today. So you, again, ask me anything. So what are you afraid of? I want you to sit back and think about what are you afraid of as you watch these next slides. Physical fears? Feeling rejected? Time ticking, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. I'm too old. I'm not old enough. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to fail. Having enough. Taking that jump.
Wow.
I've been on that place.
Mm-hmm.
Dentists, you know how we all love dentists. Public speaking, the number one fear, the external fear in America, the number one fear. So fear, let's talk about fear. So some of the physical symptoms of fear. So I just want to talk a little bit about physical fears versus emotional fears. Because physical fears, falling down, physical fear, jumping out of a plane, physical fear. So in a physical fear, we all know that our heart races, we have sweaty palms, our throat clenches, we get scald, maybe blood pressure, rapid breathing. And again, you might feel physical fear differently. You might get a gut punch in the stomach, right? Your knee might hurt, your back might hurt. You might start sweating, right? And I want you to understand that actually the fear is, I want to just stop for a minute and talk straight to you, is I actually want to talk to you about how the difference is between emotional fears and physical fears. So hopefully right there, as I was showing you those examples of like, are these what you're afraid of? Do you have any of these fears? As you've been watching those, what came up for you? What fears came up for you? Now, this is the kick. Emotional fears and physical fears actually cause the same reaction in our body. So I'm going to say that again because that's really important to note. If you have an emotional fear, like fear of rejection, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of loss, right? All those lovely fears we have, those fears actually work on our neurobiology the same way as physical fears. So you going out with a fear of rejection is the same as you diving out of a plane. And I want you to understand that. I want to stop and help you understand that, because that is a trickster of fear. So fear is as smart as you are, as educated as you are, as spiritual as you are. It has all the knowledge you have. So fear is a trickster. And the thing about fear is that you start having that sweaty palms, your back hurts, you start getting like tingles in your stomach. And most people actually take that as a sign that they should stop. Right? Because that goes along with the physical fear. And if you have a physical fear, your physical fear is about survival. I don't want to fall off, the bridge. I don't want to jump out of the plane. It actually will cause your emotional life to go, oh yeah, this is dangerous and I should stop. So I want you to know that physical fears and emotional fears are very similar. And I think that's really important to note. So what is fear? Your body's reaction to fear is the same whether you face with a physical threat or an emotional one. And again, an emotional threat is rejection, failure, success, somebody giving you a dirty look, literally walking into a room and not knowing anybody and somebody kind of blowing you off and not giving you a big smile actually increases our ability to be stopped. It actually triggers our fear response. So we're not talking about these big giant fears. We're talking about these little tiny fears that actually wreak havoc on our life. So this is the definition of fear. Fear is both the cause and effect of the feelings, thoughts, actions that prohibit you from accepting yourself and realizing your full potential. So it's the cause of it and it's the effect of it. So this is the kicker. I love this stuff. I love this stuff because this is the kicker. I want you to write this down. Fear has only one job. It only has one job. And fear's job is to keep you safe. Okay, period. So again, we talked about physical fears. It wants to keep you in survival, right? It wants you to survive physically. Well, your emotions, they want to do the exact same thing. They want to keep you safe. Now, this is where it goes wrong. Remember what I said a minute ago about fear is as smart as you are, as educated as you are, as spiritual as you, as knowledgeable as you are. So the more educated you get, the more fear gets tricky, the more insidious, invisible, and tricky fear gets. Because fear, in order to keep you safe, has to repeat the past. Yes, it has to repeat the past because the past is the only place fear knows that you are going to be safe because you're still alive, right? You're still breathing, you're still alive. So fear goes, well, it maybe didn't go the way she wanted, but at least she's safe, right? So fear has a tendency to bring your past into the present. It brings your past into the present. And so you're using that past as a filter to see your world now. Now, again, you don't know this necessarily, right? You may not be attentive to this, but that's what we want to talk about today. We want to actually talk about when you go for a goal, when you go for an intention, when you have a big dream that you want to fulfill. I'm going to give you an exercise in just a minute that's going to really help you start identifying where fear may have you tricked. Okay? Because again, I want to say it again, fear is invisible, it is insidious, and it is silent, and it is deadly. It wants you to stay on the couch eating a box of potato chips, right? Because it knows you're safe there, right? Now, the other day I was on a call. I was on a podcast the other day, and the host asked me, "Well, Rhonda, is there any good use to fear? Basically, is there a positive to fear?" And I'm like, "Yes, there's a lot of positives to fear." And again, we're going to talk about that as we go. And he said, "Well, wait a minute. I know that sometimes I'm motivated by fear, right? Like I feel desperate. I got to make some money in the bank. I got to make it happen. My kids are going to starve, right?" And I said, "Yeah, isn't that awesome? Because fear is a great motivator." And write this down. Fear is a great motivator. The challenge is fear is a great motivator, but it will never let you be satisfied. So you can never enjoy your abundance. You can never enjoy that relationship fully. You can never relax, right? Because fear, once you start getting addicted to the adrenaline rush of that fear motivating you, it becomes a habit. It puts your neurological pathways a certain way, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And then it becomes more, I'm going to say, difficult, challenging, cause you have to become aware, right? Aware in order to actually change your life, right? So I just want to review just a little bit before we go to the next section that fear is as smart as you are. It's as educated as you are. It's knowledgeable as you are. It's as spiritual as you are. Fear wants to keep you safe, but as you get smarter, it gets smarter. Okay. So let's go.
Fear is a tricky devil.
It is a tricky devil. And the more that you can identify what it is you do, we call in Fearless Living fear responses, Scott. We call them fear responses. So for instance, one of my fear responses is I'm impatient. When I'm in freedom and I'm good to go and I'm in my power and I'm living large and I'm really truly in my power, I have all the patience in the world. I'm like Mother Teresa, right? But when I am in my fear, Scott, you're not moving fast enough. God, why are you being so stupid? God, don't you know that? I mean, I become impatient, right? And impatience is a sign, a fear response for me to let me know that, oh gosh, I have some fear coming up, right? I am in a scenario, I am in a situation, something's going on in my life where fear is trying to come up to the surface and run it. And I have to be awake in order to know that, oh yeah, I'm not going to get tricked by that. Oh, I see, I'm getting impatient. Yeah, I'm not going to act on my impatience. Instead, I'm going to slow it down. I'm actually going to slow it down so that I can actually get into my freedom, get into my true nature, get into my power in order to move forward. Because that's the only place satisfaction lies. That's the only place contentment lies, Scott. That's it, right? So let's move into the lovely brain, which I love. So, wait. Oh, I'm glad I have these PowerPoints, see? So I have these PowerPoints to remind me what to do. So I want everybody right now to go ahead and shut your eyes, okay? So I want you to go ahead and shut your eyes. And I want you to just nod your head with your eyes shut. Just nod your head, eyes shut. Just go ahead and do that. Yep, just nod it all the way down to your neck. Yep. So I'm going to read a list of fear responses, okay? And I want you to nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things. So I want you to nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things. And these are some of the fear responses that you have that keep you stuck, right? So do you ever isolate yourself? Do you ever pretend everything's okay when it's not? Do you ever condemn yourself? Compare yourself? Do you ever settle? Do you ever whine? How about judge? Do you ever get defensive? Secretly try to manipulate? Do you complain? How about suffer? What about wait and you just call it patience, but really you're just waiting? What about procrastinating? Worry? Struggle? Do you blame? What about deflect or try to control? Do you ever feel bitter, powerless, dissatisfied, resentful, entitled, guilty? Do you ever feel irritated, like perhaps now? Do you ever feel overwhelmed, ignored, annoyed? Do you ever get into pity? And do you ever feel victimized? Do you ever feel like a victim? So one of the things about the trick about being a victim is that there has to be a savior and there has to be a victim. So how many, Scott, what percentage? Did you have over 50%? Can you hear me, Scott, or no? Maybe Scott left.
Oh, nope, I'm here. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So Scott, did you have over 50%?
Oh, I think everybody has over 50%. Yeah. Even my good days, you're going to get something like that, right, Rhonda?
Right. So most people, Scott, have over 70 to 80. And when I'm in an audience of like 1,000 people, I say, how many people had 90%? And I would say most people raise their hand. Wow. So all of these things, right, with judgment, comparing, competing, procrastinating, perfectionism, overwhelm, all of those things kind of move through us on a daily basis when fear is in control. So we actually want to know that when we're judging, we have actually fear running our life. When we are procrastinating, we have fear running our life. So I want you to think about it this way. So Scott, do you see my hand here? Oh, you know what? I am going to be crazy because I just got my first tattoo.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm crazy, Scott. I'm crazy. I'm crazy. I just got a tattoo. I can't believe I did. I did it New Year's Eve. One of my good friends came over. She goes, I'm going to go get a tattoo. And I had the flu, right? I was like, and I go, where's the tattoo shop? She goes, it's right, like right down the street from your house, only 3 blocks away. And I'm like, and I've been sick for I had that flu that lasted like a week, right? So it's New Year's Eve. She's like, I'm gonna go get a tattoo. And I thought, you know what? I need to get out. I'll go with her. Do not go to the tattoo salon when you are sick and you're on, Theraflu, because this is what happens.
Well, it's better. That's that big there versus other places.
Yeah, well, I was wise there, but at least I got the word fearless, right? So I got my first tattoo. Oh, and then when I walked out, Scott, you're gonna love this. So the guy, I start walking, I pay him the money, and I walk out, and he goes, "I'll see you next time." I go, no, I will never be getting another tattoo. And he looks at me and he goes, "Nobody has one tattoo." And I'm like, oh my God, he's right. So, okay, so this is how fear works, right? We procrastinate, we are perfectionists, we get anxious, overwhelmed, fear of failing, right? So we have all these problems, right? And then we go to procrastination school, right? And we're going to be like, I'm going to knock this problem out because I'm going to go to procrastination school. So you go to procrastination school, you learn a lot of skills and tools, and you go, boom, to procrastination. Yeah, I beat you, right? The problem is, Scott, and I know you know this, is that just because you got rid of procrastination, if fear's running the show and creating these fear responses, it'll just make another fear response. It actually doesn't care what the fear responses are. It just wants to stop you because it loves you. And it wants to keep you safe, right? So let's talk about those neural pathways that I was just talking about a minute ago, Scott. And I am going to get my lovely thing. Oh, yes. Yes, it's not your fault. So let's talk about the brain. When we want to change our life, what we're actually doing is we're actually neuroscientists in that moment because we're actually changing our neural pathways. Now, you don't have to think about changing your neural pathways, and you actually don't have to know anything about neuroscience to change your neural pathways. Whenever you make a new decision, you actually are changing your neural pathways. And when you practice that decision, you are actually creating those new neural connections. So this is how the brain works, and this is how fear works in neuroscience in the brain. So the hippocampus, which is that lovely right next to the amygdala, stores real or perceived threat signals in long-term memory. So I want you to hear that. The hippocampus stores real or perceived threat signals in long-term memory. So what does that mean for you? You walk into a room, it's filled with strangers. You're going to go network. You're going to go make some sales. You're going to meet people. You're going to be awesome, right? But you have had a story in their past that says people don't like me, or, I'm shy, or it's really hard for me to get to know people. Like all these stories you tell yourself, right? Well, that story actually has your amygdala and hippocampus alerted, and you actually now see through the filter of, you know what? It becomes real, basically. Anything you perceive actually becomes real. So, and it's not necessarily real, like all those people might be like waving at you, but you actually don't see it because our brain, we see 10,000, 20,000 things every minute. And so we're constantly deciding unconsciously what to pay attention to. And when you have that filter up of it's hard for me to meet people, or people don't like me right away, or I'm shy, all of those things actually create a reality in your body. So when you walk into a room, those are the things you see, right? Those are the things you see. So I think that's absolutely fascinating. We have so much more control over ourselves than we know. So the hippocampus stores real or perceived. So you make up a story, it believes it's real, and it acts like it's real. The second thing I want to tell you about the brain is it responds potentially to dangerous stimuli before it has all the facts, okay? So your brain, that hippocampus and amygdala, the way our neural pathways work, the way that safety comes in, is that you can see, I want to say sensor because you're actually not seeing it. There is a, like, imagine for a moment that you have a, 3 to 5 feet to 10 feet space around you, and it's actually larger, but there's a certain space around you that actually picks up consciousness, energy, different things around you. And so if you feel, if there's like a threat from your past, if it has a memory, because remember, your best friend in second grade kicked you in the shins, right? Because you had a better picture than them, right? You drew a better picture and they're jealous and they kicked you in the shins. So now you want to go make some money and you want to make it happen. Your amygdala and hippocampus are like, well, if you do that, you're going to get kicked to the shins again. You're going to get kicked to the shins, right? So that you basically go out and it basically tests, like, is anybody going to be kicking me in the shins, right? Is there danger here, right? So again, remember the first part is perceived or real threats. So based on our past history, we're making things up all of the time, right? We're making things up all the time. And we don't even know we're making it up because it feels real. The third thing I want to say is that the brain is programmed to detect dangers routinely experienced by our ancestors and those learned by us individually. Okay, this is going to blow your mind, okay? Did you read the part that says dangers routinely experienced by your ancestors? Well, they've been doing research, and I want to say maybe it was last year that a study came out, and they've been doing fear research, and they noticed that the fear was activated, the amygdala and hippocampus was activated, even though the person, I, alive right now, didn't experience it, but my great-great-great-grandmother did. So if you ever said to yourself, why am I like this? 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 You may never have had that situation happen to you. It's handed down through your DNA, right? Handed down through your DNA. Some of your fears are through your DNA. You did not experience it. So when people come to me and go, well, I need to figure out why, Rhonda, why I have this fear of failure, why I have this fear of rejection, I go, that's nice. I mean, if it pops up, kind of spontaneously, that's nice. But spending time trying to figure out why, thinking that's going to unlock the door and give you the key to freedom, actually is a waste of time because there is no one why. You are not afraid of competing and comparing because, your friend Bobby kicked you in the shins when you drew a better picture. Right? You're not afraid of intimacy only because your girlfriend broke up with you in college. Those things don't form with one event, right? Not that one event can't be traumatic and can't impact us. It absolutely does. But most of our fears, most of the way that we operate in the world aren't based on one situation. They're actually based on situations over and over again, as well as, like I said, through our DNA. So our fear is formed through our family experiences, through our teachers, through our friends, through the way we were raised, through our caretakers, through our environment. So by the time we're 5 years old, and I want you to hear this, by the time you're 5 years old, what I call your wheel of fear has been formed. It is locked and loaded. Okay, it is locked and loaded. So if you have a fear of rejection, it didn't just happen last week. It's happened probably by the time you were 5, you had that fear of rejection, right? You have a fear of failure, probably been around for a while, okay? So I want you to quit looking back and trying to figure out what caused your fear to come up and why you're afraid to go network or why you're scared to make $1 million, and again, you think, I'm gonna make $1 million, but then you find yourself, it's kind of quote unquote sabotaging yourself. You find yourself not doing the things you want to do, which again, I'm going to give you an exercise in just a minute to help you with that. So just know that you're not crazy. It's not your fault. You're not stupid. You're not weak. These things are in your neurobiology. It's the way you were made. The way fear works is actually in our system. Okay. It's not something that, you made up. It's something that actually is how we work. And I want you to really hear that because I want that shame to walk away. I want that guilt to walk away. I want that worry to walk away. I want that blame to walk away. Like, you don't need to shame yourself about why am I doing this to myself? No, you're not doing it to yourself. Fear's doing it to you because it wants to keep you safe, right? So if you have any questions as I go, just go ahead and throw it in. And then we have like one more about the brain. And this is what I love this capper, right? Our ability to erase the memories of fear, that little boy kicking you in the shins, is highly unlikely. So I remember the first time I heard that, I read that in a book about fear research, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't erase these things. And what I really got is it may not be able to be erased, but you can transform it, transmute it, and transcend it. So you can transform it, transmute it, and transcend it. So you can heal it. It might still be there, but it doesn't have the out as it did before. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to get my PowerPoint up again because I don't want to forget anything. So fear has one job, as I said before. It is to keep you safe because it loves you. It loves you. So fear is triggered by the unknown. Okay. Now that's an unknown thought. That's an unknown thought. Some thought that you've never had before. I always use the one like if you haven't dated in 20 years and you start dating, that's fear. Like that's total fear, right? So fear is triggered by the unknown. And so I write this down. I love this. Freedom equals your capacity to live in the unknown. Freedom equals your capacity to live in the unknown. So as you're on your way to make your dreams happen, as a business owner, entrepreneur, right? You're making it happen. It's you have to make it happen, right? With your team, but you are the driver. You're the engine, right? You are it. You're the passion. You're the purpose. You have to keep everyone motivated and supported and inspired. You are it because it's your business, right? Well, that can feel like a lot of pressure, right? And you can feel really bogged down. Well, I want you to remember that passion and that purpose, that drive, that dream is actually a seed of your destiny, a seed of your future, right? So I'm going to go back to the unknown. I want to tie this into the unknown. So let's say you have a dream of making $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, right? So pick your money amount, and on your way to make $1 million, you and I both know it's not going this way, right? 0 to $1 million isn't a straight line. 0 to $1 million looks like this, right? It's up, it's down, it's backwards, it's forward. It's all different ways. And the way and how we keep moving forward is knowing that this up and down is actually refining us, giving us more discernment, and helping us build our skills and tools so that when we do reach that goal of $1 million, when we reach that goal of $5 million, when we reach that goal of $10 million, we can actually have the skills, the tools, the capacity, and the consciousness to not only hang on to it, but to have it move through us in a powerful, powerful way. So if you get discouraged because your 0 to $1 million doesn't look like this, that is what I call an expectation. You are having a false expectation. You are having an expectation. What's an expectation? It is you and I agree to something, except I forgot to tell you about it. Okay. So I have some questions here. So I'm just going to go to the chat for a minute to make sure. Oh, preach. Bring it. I love it. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. I love that. Ryan says, preach. I'll take it, Ryan. So I want you to really get that so much of our disappointment and our heartbreak and where we fall down is that we actually believe that this is how we should be living our life. This is how we should be actualizing our dream. But when you can actually really understand how fear works, this, right? You have all your little steps, right? It's all known, quote unquote. It's kind of known because you have little steps. Maybe you have a mentor, which of course is really important, and take classes, really important. All these things are super important, right? But that's not how it works. It works up, down, sideways, backwards, and that is the unknown. And so the better you are at increasing your capacity to live in the unknown is your capacity to live in freedom. And when I mean freedom, I'm talking the ability to make the money you want, ability to be in the relationship you want, ability to be that person that is in that intimate relationship, and not afraid to be intimate and vulnerable and, available, right? That person who is willing to build a team and have all these different conflicting personalities all over each other as a team. I mean, it took me a long time to build a team because I didn't have the skills or the tools, right? And this person would have some fear and this person would have some fear. And I had to learn how to support people in their fear while they were helping and supporting this business to grow. Does that make sense? So not only, that's why I always say for entrepreneurs and parents, if you're a parent or an entrepreneur, I know you are, if you're an entrepreneur, you must know how your fear operates or it will decide things for you. It will choose team members for you. It will choose deals for you. And there will be things that you will regret, and I don't want you to, right? I have a motto of no regret, and I want you to have the same, okay? So,
quick question here for you, Rhonda. Eric asked, do you have any recommendations for overcoming those fears? Books, or do you just face it head on, punch it in the face? He's interested in your personal opinion.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, I want you to do fearless living with me, right? I want you to really understand your wheel of fear and wheel of freedom, which we'll talk about in a minute. But so my book, Fearless Living, the one that I was just reading from, Fearless Living, there's 3 ways to do this, right? It's either through the book, Fearless Living, you do it by yourself, and I really encourage you to do it with somebody else. You go through again, I do something called the Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom. It's Fearless Living Training Program, and that's on my website, and I put it on special for you. So if you go to fearlessliving.org/FLTP, then you can get that at half off for you today. And then there's the other thing that's coming to a weekend, and that I take you through it in a live event. So some of us like to do, self-study and at home, then the online programs for you. Or if you like to be with me and hang out and have coaches there and support you and help you kick that fear's butt, then that's the way to do it. But again, I have a certain way that I think about fear, hopefully you're hearing, is that I really believe that we each have a core fear. And that core fear was developed by the time we were 5. So everyone else talks about like the cliche of fear, feel the fear and do it anyway. Well, I don't know about you, but I couldn't feel the fear and do it anyway. I couldn't do it, right? I couldn't do it. See, so I don't know about you, but I had, let's just say I had a crappy childhood. Anybody else? Raise your hand. Yep, crappy childhood. Okay, me too. So I'm going to share with you my crappy childhood, just a quick little story about my crappy childhood. And when people hear my story, they think, well, that's how you got fear, Rhonda. And it's like, no, my fear was formed by the time I was 5. This didn't happen until I was 14 years old. So when I was 14, I had the horrific experience of watching my father on Father's Day came over to take us out to brunch. And my parents were separated. My dad's coming over to take us to brunch. We're going to go to a fancy Douglas House buffet hotel restaurant. And there's only 2 restaurants in my little town, Big Boy and Douglas House. And that was it. We had no fast food, nothing. I grew up in a little tiny town. And I'm in the bedroom helping my mom, fluff up her beehive. And my dad comes in, come on. And he says to me, I'm going to go get my coat from the car. And as me and my mom walk out, my dad's in his trunk getting his coat. I have 2 sisters and they're in the bathroom. We have one bathroom growing up, and they're in the bathroom fighting it out. As my father grabs his coat, I notice it's not a coat and it's a gun. And he starts screaming at my mother, you made me do this. You made me do this. And he fires. And I start screaming, Dad, what are you doing? Dad, what are you doing? Stop. And he cocks the gun and he points it at me. And I absolutely believe I'm next. And my mother, literally with her last breath, sees that gun in my face and screams out, no, don't. And my dad, realizing my mom's alive, takes that bullet intended for me and points it at my mother and shoots her a second time. And the second bullet goes through my mother's abdomen, out her back, and lands in the car horn. And for the next 20 minutes, all I heard was, eh. And then my father comes running right next to me, literally 2 feet away from me, puts the gun to his head and fires. So at 14 years old, I'm the sole witness of watching and witnessing my father murder my mother and commit suicide in front of me. Now, I don't know how you'd respond to that, but this is how I responded. I became an alcoholic. I got 3 DUIs. I tried to kill myself 3 times, and I blamed myself. because I didn't do anything heroic. I didn't stop my father. I didn't save my mother. I didn't jump in front of her. And now she's dead. And my father's dead. And I'm the only one there that could have physically stopped it. So for the next 20 years, I had a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. I had a lot of regret, a lot of pain. And I really believed that I was damaged, right? Like I was damaged. It's just like, that's just the way it is. I'm damaged now. And it was only through, and I took workshops and read books and did all this stuff, and they'd all tell me what to do, but they never made me feel better. I mean, it would inspire me for a moment. I bet you've experienced this too. You read a book and you're like, ooh, this is so good. Oh, I'm so inspired. And then you shut the book and you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do, right? So it doesn't last. And so as I started healing myself, and it took time, when I realized that this wasn't just meant for me and that it was meant for other people, I created everything so that you could do it too, because I want you to be able to set yourself free anytime that fear has its way with you. So when people say feel the fear and do it anyway, I couldn't have done it anyway. That's just, fear is too tricky for that for most people. And that's where they increase shame, increase beating yourself up, increase putting yourself down, increase something's wrong with you, right? But there is nothing wrong with you. It's just fear is having its way with you. And you don't know it, just like I didn't know it. We don't learn this stuff in high school and college and junior high. We don't learn this, right? So what I'm talking about is not based on a book I read. Okay, nothing I'm teaching you is from a book I read. Everything I tell you about fear is from personal experience. Because I too read those books that were like, feel the fear and do it anyway. And, just like you said, smash fear in the face, right? Like it's like, yeah, but okay, maybe. But most of the time, fear is trickier than that and more seductive than that and more silent than that. It is way faster and better and quicker than you are. So if you don't see it, you can't change it. If you don't see it, you can't change it. If you don't see it, you can't change it, right? If you don't see it, you can't change it. And I want you to be able to change it. I want you to be able to change it in an instant. I want you to be able to walk into that room where there's a whole bunch of strangers and your normal story is shy and this and that. I want you to know how to immediately shift your state of mind, shift your mindset so that you can actually move into a fearless state, in a state of freedom, so that you walk into that room with a different filter, with a different way of being. And you can do that. You can totally do that. I totally have learned how to do it the long way, and you don't have to learn the long way, right? I'm going to show you the shorter way, but I learned the long way. So was it hard? Yeah, it sucked. It sucked. It was really hard. And, in that third suicide attempt, I realized something. I'm not good at killing myself, not good at it. And I got to figure out another way. And that was the beginning of me changing, realizing that death wasn't an option for me. There was a reason I was alive, and there's a reason you're alive, and there's a destiny calling you, and there's a dream calling you. There's goals calling you, but I want to focus on your destiny. There's a destiny calling you. That's why you're here right now. That's why you're here right now. There's a destiny calling you. And fear, with all its trickery, can get in your way so easily. And that's not okay with me. Because I want you to be able to choose your destiny in the sense of, I can move forward. I can decide. Use your frontal lobe up here. Use this, right? Amygdala and hippocampus is back here, right? We want to use our frontal lobe and make decisions to move forward. I want you to be able to decide. And when fear has our way with us, sometimes we can't decide, right? We get frozen, right? We flee, right? We get resistant. We self-sabotage, quote unquote, right? All those things that everybody talks about. And to be honest, I don't believe in self-sabotage, and I don't believe that you're resistant. I believe that fear is having its way with you, and you have a choice to listen or to be in your body and free. It's a choice, but you got to know you have the choice in order to take the choice. So does that make sense?
Totally makes a lot of sense. I have to tell you, Stephanie after hearing you speak a couple years ago at Secret Knock with our buddy Greg, took your online coaching, went through your program, stuff like that, and came out the other end much more positive, much more. Fear still tricks her up a little bit.
Sure, of course it all does.
It exactly does, but overcame a lot of great things that used to kind of limit herself. I mean, and it would stop her from taking action on things. And we all deal with this still this day, but she's a much stronger and better individual for going through your program and overcoming some of those fears, because she had a rough childhood as well and kind of got programmed into that, oh, you can't do that. You're not good enough to do that kind of aspect of things, and realize, well, that's not the case.
And and what's cool, Scott, is that you don't have to have a bad childhood to have fear. Fear is part of our neurobiology, so everybody has it. And so you bring up a really good point with Stephanie. You're never getting rid of fear. That's not how it works. You don't get rid of fear, because you'd have to. When I read a landing page or a sales page with defeat fear, get rid of fear for life, I want to go. The next question you should ask that teacher or that marketing expert is going, really? So are you going to give me a lobotomy because my amygdala and hippocampus and my whole nervous system is intertwined in my body? So I don't think I'm getting rid of it. But you can master it. You can transcend it. You can transform it, but you can't get rid of it. It's about learning the skills. So I feel really called to just go straight into the exercise, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
Are we still good on time?
Oh, you're golden. You're golden.
Okay, so I am going, here it is. Here's the exercise. Good. So I'm going to teach an exercise to everybody right now called Stretch, Risk, and Die. And this is going to help your business, and this is going to help your life, period. So it's an exercise I actually created for one of my private clients who had a sales team. And she said to me, Rhonda, I want my sales team to be motivated and, get more sales and be amazing. And we're sitting at a restaurant somewhere having our session. And she's like, I can't get my sales team to do it, to make it happen. So I created this exercise called Stretch, Risk, or Die. And her sales team blew it out of the water because they knew what to do. So let's go quickly through this exercise. Stretch, risk, and die. So there's your comfort zone. We're all familiar with the comfort zone. Everybody knows it, right? The comfort zone. And for the sake of this conversation, the comfort zone is what you know. So if you know how to sit on the TV and watch, 5 shows in a row, that's your comfort zone. If having somebody slap you in the face is your comfort zone, that's your comfort zone. So the comfort zone could be you're married, not married, kids, no kids, wealthy, poor, broke, middle class, whatever it is, that's your comfort zone. So whatever your life is right now, that's what we're going to define as your comfort zone. The second circle is the stretch zone. The stretch zone is, I want you to hear this, stretch zone is things you know you can do, but you don't do. You know you can do it, but you don't do it. Right? You know you can go to that networking meeting, but you don't do it. You know you can drink another glass of water to get healthier, but you don't do it. You know you could eat more vegetables to feel more empowered, take vitamin D, but you don't do it. Right? You know you could call your mentor and ask a question, but you don't do it. Right? So the stretch zone is not only the stretch zone, it's also called the beat up zone. This is where you beat yourself up ruthlessly because you know you can do it and you don't do it. Right? The risk zone are things you don't know if you could do. You don't know if you'd be successful if you did it. You're not sure about your success. And the die zone is outside the risk zone. Okay. So we have comfort zone is what you know. Stretch zone is, I know I can do it, but I just don't do it. And the risk zone is, I don't know if I'll be successful. And the die zone is, I'll die doing, I will die doing that. I do not want to do that. There is no way I'm doing that. Right. So this is the model that I want to share with you. So let me just kind of get off the slide. So you see the thing, right? Comfort zone, stretch, risk, and die. Okay. So this is how you use this model. You pick a goal. You pick an intention, whatever you want to do. A goal. I want to double my income this month. I want to get my $1 million goal this year, right? So whatever your goal is, you put it up on top of the board of stretch, risk, and die. Okay. Then what you do, instead of making your regular to-do list, right? I bet you have a to-do list of 10 things, like I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that. And if you're anything like I used to be, I used to write my 10 things on my to-do list. And number 1, check it off. Number 2, check it off. Skip 3, skip 4, do 5, do 6, skip 7, right? So I would be skipping certain steps, right, on my to-do list, certain tasks. Now, this is why we skip tasks. So keep your ears open and keep your heart open, because this is a big deal. The reason that we don't take action that we know we want to take is that when we're moving forward in a dream, that actually activates emotional risks, emotional fear. So it takes emotional risk, emotional fears to actually move from your comfort zone to your stretch zone, to your risk zone, to your die zone, right? So for instance, let's say that you want to, let's just use $1 million again, right? Let's say you have a goal this year, I'm going to make $1 million. And you go, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm going to do it. I got my plan. I'm making it happen. But you find yourself stalling. You find yourself kind of tripping up. You find yourself not really going for it the way that you really hoped you would. Well, maybe you have a fear that your family's going to judge you if you have money. Maybe you have a hidden fear that your wife is going to leave you. Maybe you have a hidden fear that money is for evil. It's for evil. It's like, that you're going to become a different person and you're not going to stay spiritual and grounded, and you're going to become all about money. You're going to become obsessed with money. So all of these little tiny strings of fear, like they're just like little strings of fear, actually are the cause of you not moving from your comfort zone to your stretch zone to your risk zone to your die zone. So it is not about motivation. It is not about willpower. It is not about discipline. It is about choice based on desire, right? You got to have desire to make the choice to do the work to shift our neural pathways, right? So I'm going to give you a quick little example. You've probably heard it before because it's a very famous example, but I love it. So you're driving down a dirt road in an old jalopy truck, and you know how when you're in the back roads, how the tires have made troughs, so to speak. So you're driving down through these troughs, right? Well, that's you in the life you are now in your comfort zone, okay? And then you create a goal and you want to make $1 million, want to have a team of 3, team of 8, whatever it is. Well, in order to shift, to become the person you need to be in order to make that $1 million, in order to build that team, is you have to have a relationship with fear so it doesn't trick you. You actually have to take the steering wheel and make a decision, choose to shift your path and go off on the side of the road and make a new road. Now, I want you to remember this. Probably you've done this. I know I've done it. I've been out in the back roads. I'm from a little town. And the minute you go up, right, the minute you take that wheel, right, in that truck and you get off those troughs, those gutters, right, and you lift up, what happens? The truck immediately wants to go back in the trough, right? The truck immediately wants to go back to what it knows. Well, that's the way your brain works too. That is exactly how your brain works. So in order to actually move from your comfort zone to your destiny, instead of writing a to-do list, I want you to actually write down all the things that you think you must do, all your tasks, all your things that you want to do in order to make $1 million that you think are making $1 million. And I actually want you to put them inside the stretch, risk, or die circle. So I'm going to go back to the circle again. So for instance, is it a stretch for you? You know you can do it, but you just haven't done it. You know that you can go to a networking meeting, or is that a die for you? Making $500,000, is that a stretch, risk, or die? And again, it's not about desire. It's not about like, oh, I want to make $500,000. That's why, I can totally want to do that. No, it is an energetic. It is an energetic. And do you have the energy capacity to make $500,000? Right? So again, you can, don't get me wrong. You can totally. But have you done it before? Again, it's the unknown. Making $500,000, if you're used to making 100, is different energy level, a different capacity, a different consciousness. And so you must move from stretch, risk, or die. Now, to answer probably a question on everyone's mind, can you skip? Sure, you can go to dies, you can go to stretches, you can go to risks. You don't have to do it in order. You don't have to do stretches, risks, and then dies, right? You can do die and then you can do a stretch. But let's not fool ourselves, because I have a lot of people that come up to me and go, oh, Rhonda, I live in the die zone all the time. I go, okay, well, that's actually not good. You're blowing out your adrenals. And your dies are probably not dies. They're probably for you stretches. So for some person, going to a networking meeting and, bonding with 10 people is a stretch. It's they know they can do it, they just haven't done it. But for some people, they're shaking in their boots, it's a die. So that's why you can never compare your goals or your dreams with anybody else's, because you have different things to move through. So when you have something that's easy for you, I guarantee you it's in your comfort and stretch zone. If it's harder for you, it's going to be in your risk and die zone. But this is the cool part. This is what I want you to hear. As you start going from your comfort zone to your stretch, to your risk, to the die, this is what's really cool. As you start becoming masterful and expanding, what happens is that comfort zone encompasses the stretch zone. And that risk zone now becomes your stretch zone. And that die zone now becomes your risk zone. And now you have a new die. And then as you keep on doing those stretch, risk, and dies, taking action, now your risk zone is in the comfort zone. And now your die zone, that used to be your die zone, is now your stretch zone. So this is how we incrementally start moving masterfully through our fears. Using the stretch, risk, and die method is a good first step in order to start understanding how fear works. So I have a thing that I have a class I'm going to give you as a gift. It's just as the stretch, risk, and die. It has the model, it has the worksheets. So if you want, please take this as my gift. Get your phone out, and if you want to take the stretch, risk, and die mini course, it is my gift to you. And what you want to do is you want to actually text the word NOTE, N-O-T-E, to 310-895-9743. I'm going to say that again. So I want you to text the word NOTE, N-O-T-E, to the number 310-895-9743. So when you get to your instant message, not to instant message, go to your SMS, go to your text message, put the phone number in, and then in where you'd write the note, put the word NOTE, right? And then you'll immediately be asked for your first name and be asked for your email, and then you'll be sent the link for access to this mini course that has all the worksheets for this exercise called Stretch, Risk, and Die. And I cannot say enough how this exercise will blow your mind. It will blow your mind, because now you're not using your willpower or discipline or gotta get it together to move yourself forward. You're actually accessing your freedom, actually more of who you really are, and actually learning the skills and increasing your capacity to make decisions that are in alignment with where you want to go and who you want to be, who you were born to be, to live out your destiny, right? So that's your opportunity. That's the opportunity. From where you are now to wherever that destiny is, that's your opportunity, because all from here to here are stretch, risk, dies. That's what they are, stretch, risk, dies. Stretch, risks, and dies. So instead of beating yourself up, putting yourself down that you're not doing what you think you should be doing, instead you go, okay, got a minute. I'm not doing this because fears got better of me. And how much of an emotional risk is this for me? Oh, you know what? It is actually a risk. It's actually a stretch. It's actually a risk. It's actually a die. Then give yourself that permission. Give yourself that permission to honor that space. So do you need more support? And again, in Stretch, Risk, and Die, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. I go through, it's a live event that I did similar to this. So the 45 minutes, 3 50-minute videos, but what you really want out of this workshop is the worksheets. So you want to grab the worksheets and of course, watch it again. It's more expansive about Stretch, Risk, and Die. And this is going to guide you, because in between the comfort zone and the stretch is the wheel of fear. In between your stretch and your risk is your wheel of fear. And in between your risk and your die is your wheel of fear. So we want to nail that wheel of fear, right? We want you to know what it is. I want you to see it for what it is. And I want you to know how to get away from it. I want you to know how to escape it. I want you to know how to transcend it. That is my desire for you, right? I know for me that until I understood how fear really worked for me, I was not able to get traction. I could only get so far and then something would happen. I could only get so much traction, right? I could only get so much success. I could only feel so good about myself, right? I could only feel so much freedom. I could only have so much peace of mind. It was capped, right? It was capped. And it wasn't until I understood how fear really worked is that I could uncap it and all could be available to me. So I know that's true for me. I believe it's true for you, because I know that, what I'm really doing is I'm really taking neuroscience and bringing it down to the layperson, me and you, and putting it and actualizing it in our life. Instead of it being a theory, we're actually going to do it. Instead of it being a theory, we're actually going to do it. Okay? So I want to, somebody asked me, Christina asks me, can you put the phone number up again? Yes, I'm heading. Okay, great. And then she says, your Change Your Life in 30 Days is on Audible. Yes, it is. That's right. Eric asked on my 310. I'm in Los Angeles. That is where I am. I'm not in the South Bay. I'm up in the Valley. But yes, I'm in the Valley. You probably don't come over the hill. That's probably a fear for you. So Change Your Life's on Audible. The other audiobooks, you can get Fearless Living on audio. When you get fearlessliving.org/FLTP, when you go and grab the FLTP program today, that actually has the Audible audio of Fearless Living in it. So you will also be able to download Fearless Living. Okay. And you also, inside that program, get Stretch Risk and Die. You have so many other bonuses. Like, it's a ton of bonuses I put in there for you. Okay. And I think that's, I answered live. And we got the phone number up again. Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure I answered those questions. Okay, great. So questions, comments, thoughts, where are you? Because we could keep going. I just want to check in with you. Where are you?
I'm right here. I was just typing in the chat roll. So it's fearlessliving.org. What was it again?
/FLTP. And I created that page for you, and it is half off for you. Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's half off. So it's half off, and just, you can go grab it, and that's going to take you through the whole entire program. And of course, if you want to grab the mini course, you have that number as well, 310-895-9743, and put the word note in it. And then you will get automatic access to my Stretch, Risk, and Die class to give yourself a little taste and get the worksheets on how to do Stretch, Risk, and Die.
Mm-hmm. You're doing good on time. We're fine. We still got a few more minutes here. If you want to go. The questions here. Okay, so Bill asked a question: do some people naturally have more fear than others? Do some people naturally have more? If so, why? Is it more so because I think we all start off with fear, like you've said before. We're all going to have fear. It's just that those that stretch ourselves a little bit more, it looks like we don't have fear. We just got more experience.
But yeah, what we do, right? So I want to say that some of us could have, quote unquote, I don't want to say more fear, but more vulnerable to fear. Let's put it that. They're more vulnerable to their fear responses. So when their fear response comes up, like impatience, they really beat themselves up and put themselves down. Like, they really torture themselves, right? Where other people can go like, oh my God, I got to quit doing that. Ah, God, stop it, right? And a lot of that has to do with trauma. It also has to do with your DNA. It has to do with the skills that you already have, right? So most of us in our lives have experienced trauma. And fear has its way with trauma. Hello. So trauma will activate our body. Our body becomes more sensitive when we're in trauma, when we've had trauma. And also we're become more sensitive to our fear responses. So like I said, you walk into a meeting and, before you were like, oh my God, I'm really nervous to meet people. I'm supposed to speak tonight. I'm really nervous. Oh God. And now after a traumatic event, it might become paralyzing. Okay. So, and that's okay, but you need to know that. It's not that you've gone down. It's that you've had an event that has created a level of sensitivity to your wheel of fear and your wheel of freedom that is like, you're like a pinprick, right? You're like you're like a raccoon, like a porcupine. Yeah. Like you're a porcupine. So it's like, right? But you can actually learn to soothe yourself, and you can actually calm yourself down. I actually can give you an exercise right now to help you. If you are in I do this with people that are afraid of flying, or, afraid of, at a network meeting, they're starting to hyperventilate or starting to, be panicked to go into a network meeting. You can actually do a very quick trauma exercise in the middle of a room and people are around you, and you can be doing it. So if anybody wants to learn that, just let me know. Do I have an opinion about neuro-linguistic programming? Yes. I've taken a lot of classes in NLP, and, I think I have a book called Copywriting, NLP Copywriting or something, right? Yeah. Neuro-linguistic programming is I want to say it's a skill, right? It's a skill and it's a tool that you can use. But sadly, most people use neuro-linguistic programming to short stick, like to bypass their growth and transformation, and they just want to do the quick fix of creating money or creating wealth or building their business. And they actually aren't learning the skills and tools to actually maintain it or to live inside of it and actually to know how to make better decisions. They're actually using manipulation to get what they want. And again, there's some cool techniques in there that, but I'm going to say if you're an NLP person totally, again, great skills and tools in there, but let's just say make sure you're doing it for good and not evil. Let's put it that way. Do it for good, not evil.
Yes, that's always a good thing.
Do it for good, not evil. Right.
Let's see, we got questions here. Let's see, Chad asks, don't experiences really shape outlook and confidence? If so, isn't the first step to steer clear of those who are negative and drive those fears?
Well, that would be nice and easy if that were true, but I don't really know anybody that can get away from negative experiences. And really, when you start transcending your fear, there's actually no such thing, quote unquote, as a negative experience. It's really negative and positive actually go away in the sense, because let me just give you a quick little answer that's more thorough for that one. I was talking to a neuroscience professor, and they were talking about how to master, fear, how to do the thing. And so I've already been writing my books. This was just this last a month ago. So I've been doing this for a long time. And she said to me, she goes, well, Rhonda, it's really not about what we think it's about. What it really is shifting the filter that you see out of. It's all about shifting the filter. So when somebody negative comes up and starts going, rah, 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 shift your filter about that person. See them as somebody in fear. See their innocence. See how much they're dying for attention. See that they're just hungry, that they don't know how to take care of themselves and nurture themselves. That person actually needs attention and love if they're going rah, rah, rah every minute. And so like all these, photo quotes, these memes on social media that talk about like, get rid of that negative energy. It's like, well, wait a minute. What if it's your mom? What if it's your business partner? What if you're going through a hard time? So I'm not going to say that you have to hang around with, naysayers, but I do have to say that if you think that negativity is a reason to stop relationships, you won't have many left. And you won't be able to get intimate with them because they have to stay shallow, right? And or they have amazing skills and you have amazing skills, which is awesome. And if you have amazing skills and they have amazing skills, you're not going to move through that negativity in the same way. It just won't happen, right? So I'd really watch black and white thinking. There is no negative and positive. And oh, wait, I forgot to tell you the thing I wanted to say. So just quickly about that filter system. So I'll just say this, that every feeling you have and every belief you have can be filtered through fear or freedom. Okay? So every feeling you have can be filtered through fear or freedom, and every belief you have can be filtered through fear or freedom. So I'm going to do just two quick ones. Feeling of anger. We've all heard, if you're spiritual at all, anger bad, no, anger bad, right? Well, anger can be bad if it's driven through fear. It causes us to do a lot of things that we're not proud of. It gives us permission to act out in ways that we eventually, when we wake up, aren't proud of, right? But anger filtered through freedom is what moved Martin Luther King Jr., right? In the civil rights movement. Moved, Bobby Kennedy, right? Moved some of our great leaders. So fear, when it's filtered through fear, creates action that is sustainable and is motivating and inspiring, right? Same thing with our beliefs. I'm going to just use, I'll use a value. Let me use a value. That's easier. So value of integrity. How many people love the word? Scott, if I called you you had integrity, wouldn't you just love that? Yeah, I got integrity. I'm amazing, right? So if integrity goes through freedom, wow, that's awesome, right? You have integrity. You're able to negotiate. You'll be able to change your mind. You'll be able to, really stand in your power. But let's think of integrity through fear. If you have integrity through fear, you're rigid, closed-minded, can't renegotiate. And all you say is, I'm having integrity. I'm having integrity. And that is integrity moved through fear. Mm-hmm. So we can't just say negative and positive. It's way bigger than that. And we can't just say, oh, I have integrity. It's like, well, where's it coming from? And you can't just have feelings of anger and just call them bad. They're not bad. How you filter them through. Do you filter them through freedom or do you filter them through fear? Just my 2 cents.
That's a very good 2 cents.
It's what I believe. I believe that, people talk about fear and it's just too cliche. It's so much more subtle and more discerning and smarter. And it just doesn't work long-term, hitting it in the face or feeling the fear and doing it anyway. It just doesn't work long-term. It's not gonna sustain you.
Mm-hmm. Well, eventually run out of energy. You're bashing your head against the wall. You've got to take the time, like you said, break it down, figure out what's causing those things. Definitely
get your fear responses, right? Mm-hmm. Get your fear responses. Find out your trigger. Find out your core fear. Find those things out. And then what happens, Scott, is once you start seeing your fear responses and what your core fear is, basically the world changes. Because instead of you going, what's my problem? You go, oh, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just that fear was acting out. Okay, got it. And then when that person's like this to you, you go, oh, fear is just, oh, I see. They just need attention. They're lacking in love. Or they don't feel belonging. Like you see through other filters. And so you become more compassionate, you become more heart-centered, and you become more focused and engaged and in action. Doesn't mean you have to take everybody with you. It just means that you are centered in who you are and centered in yourself. And that's where true satisfaction, true contentment, and true success comes from, period, end of story.
Mm-hmm. Marlene asked a question. So what does it feel like to be fearless?
I'm in relationship with myself every day, right? Because I do my work every day. You don't just get fearless, right? You don't just get fearless. But what I do remember, I remember the first time that I didn't have negative thoughts anymore, in the sense of, before I remember it so clearly. I was walking through my living room and, I'm like going, I'm going to do this. And normally my negative talk, that beating myself up would come in and go, oh yeah, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? Right. And I remember walking through my living room, having the same conversation, and there was no, you can't do that. And I remember looking, Scott, I remember turning around and looking, going, what just happened? And I remember walking like this going, okay, well, I'm going to go do it then. I'm going to do it. And the voice never came. And it was like, okay, when you really understand freedom, the gift it gives you is peace of mind. And when you have peace of mind, you trust yourself and you trust your decisions. You know where to put boundaries and where not to. You don't get confused all the time. You don't get convoluted all the time. You get swayed. You don't get swayed. You're in your body. As I like to say, you're in your skin. You're in your skin to your bones. You fill yourself up. And that's what I want for you. And that's what I work on every day for myself as I move through life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Clark asked, who are your mentors or people that most influence you?
Well, that's a really good question. I have somebody that has been my spiritual mentor for the last 13 years. And it's really interesting because she's just starting to do online, doing online courses, which is so interesting. Her name is Angela Montano. And so that's a spiritual guide. And I use her on a regular basis every week, actually, for the last 15 years, something like that. But I've been mentored with people like, let's see, how can I say? His name is Paul Roth. He was one of my first mentors. I don't know if he takes clients anymore. I don't think so. But he was one of my first teachers. Reverend Michael Beckwith. He's one of my mentors. I studied with him. He taught me. Marianne Williamson, one of my teachers. So I would say half spiritual and half business, and that's how I like it, because I like to stay centered in who I am. I don't want to, if I get so focused on business without holding myself spiritually aligned, then I move into fear totally. So I got to stay myself centered, keep that spiritual work every week, and then do the business work as well. I hope that answered the question.
No, it did. Great. Right. Yeah, definitely great answer on that. Bill Isa says, so you do recommend people get angry to overcome fear? It works for me, he says.
You know what? I've done a lot of exercises with people, because on my show, Starting Over, one of the things I did is I created unique, personalized exercises for each client that came through the house. And there definitely have been clients where I have made them hit a pillow with a baseball bat. because that's just energy. So think of it that way. Feelings are just energy. And so when you're seeping with anger, right, a lot of energy is moving through you. And then you want to be able to direct that energy. So if you're feeling like just good cry, actually, by the way, good cry is really helpful after anger, because you're literally just moving that energy. So instead of thinking of feelings as these kind of, how can I say them, things that are just kind of floating, I want you to think of them as energy. So yeah, when you get angry, I get angry, and I'll, go hit the bed, or I'll go stomp around. I mean, one of the things I do is stomp around. And a technique that one of my teachers taught me is this. This is a really good exercise. So what he would do is he would get angry, like with all your anger, like, I just want to kill him, right? You say, I'm being, you get really angry, allow yourself to be angry. But the words that come out of your mouth are actually the words towards your destiny, towards your intention, towards your vision. So you're angry. I can't believe that guy just cut me off. Instead, you say, I love that guy who cut me off. This is amazing. I'm so happy this happened to me. Oh! So Scott, what you're really doing there is you're actually retraining your neural pathways. You're allowing the energy to move through you, but you're deciding what to say, right? So the energy is moving through you. So you don't want to stuff that energy, by the way, that's bad, right? So you want to move that through, and then, but you decide what words to use. So yeah, Scott, that's what I do. When I'm really upset with somebody, that's what I do. I just let my energy move through me, but I say positive things, impactful things, where I want to go. I sure hope I like him again one day.
In Texas, we call it bless your heart. Go from there.
Yeah, that bless your heart. Oh, bless your heart. Oh, bless your little heart. And that's what we think, right? Bless your heart, you dumb, you know what? Instead, you say, oh, really? Bless your heart. I really mean it.
Right. So that would be funny, because Jane asked the question, how do you communicate with the people that you have to relate with that act out towards you in fear? In a different type of communication, huh?
Yes. Well, probably besides the FLTP, the most important class I teach is called Fearless Conversations. And you can find that on Fearless Living too. And I actually take you through the 8 coaching steps, and I actually teach you the skills on how to communicate with those people that are in fear. But the first thing to do is just recognize, first of all, that they're in fear, right? That is really important, because it's going to keep your heart centered, because it's not going to be about you. You're really not going to be able, you won't take it personally. You'll really be able to stay heart centered. So, and let's say that somebody complains to you. I'm going to give you a little tip right now. I'll give you one little tool. So let's say somebody complains to you. It's your person, they're whatever, they're close to you, and they're always complaining to you. Complain. And you're trying to be fearless, and you don't want to listen to that complaining, but you don't want to shut them down. So this is what you do. You look at them and go, hey, Frank, I hear you've told me this story a few times, so I'm not really sure what you need from me. Do you want to figure out a solution? Do you just need to get your feelings out? Are you looking for a friend, a coach? Like, what do you need from me? I just want to really support you best. So the first time you do that with somebody who complains all the time, they'll look at you like you're crazy, and they'll be like, what are you talking? Why are you talking weird? And you go, well, because you've told me this more than once, I'm clearly not doing a good job. I'm clearly not giving you what you need. So what is it that you need? Do you need me to agree with you? Do you need me to, go set their tires? Do you need me to figure out a solution? Like, what do you need from me? And what you're doing is you're taking that responsibility for their problem and putting it back on them. You're not taking it on. You're putting it right back on them. And then they have to decide what they need from you. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to be necessarily easy in the beginning.
And you're actually just seeing on here on the website, the next one for your Fearless Conversations is June 19th to the 21st there in Scottsdale,
Arizona, 3 days.
Nice.
And I will kick your butt and take you home in a really good way.
Don't doubt that. Don't doubt that for a second. That's good stuff. Let's see here. Marlene asks to clarify. So no more panic attacks or fear because you feel peace of mind.
Sorry.
Right. Trying to figure out what permanent success looks like.
Well, it's really interesting because I'm not going to say, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not going to say I cure panic attacks. And I've had many clients with anxiety issues that no longer take their medication. Now, do I want you to stop taking your medication? No, I do not. Because you are not in that place. I am not a doctor. And once you really start understanding how fear works, your anxiety will go down and your panic attacks will decrease. Absolutely. So I know somebody asked me, they wanted me to, let me give the panic attack person that exercise for trauma, because it's really when you're feeling anxious that this exercise is really going to be powerful. So I want everyone, if you're in a place, if you're able to, I want you to go ahead and sit down somewhere with your feet on the ground, if you can. Okay, if you can. So just sit down, feet on the ground. And I want you to squeeze your thighs together. So it's like your knees are together, and you're squeezing your thighs together, just squeezing them. And your body up here, like I'm doing it right now, and you don't have to know that I'm doing it at all. I'm talking, so I could be at a dinner party and doing this, and nobody knows I'm doing it under the table, right? And I'm squeezing my thighs really, really hard, squeeze them really, 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 really hard, right? And now release. And do it again. Squeeze them really, 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 really hard, right? But again, I don't have to be saying that. I can just be squeezing them hard and talking. And people do this at the airport, at a dinner party, right? So you squeeze it and then you do it again. You do it like 3 times. And what happens is your muscles wrap around your nervous system. So it actually relaxes your nervous system and you decrease your anxiety. Another way to do that is actually to wrap yourself, to hug your arms. You can do that. You can hug your arms, right? So basically what you're doing is you're putting tension on your muscles. So it wraps your nervous system to make it easy so that it feels safe and relaxed. It's kind of like the same theory of a weighted blanket, right? A weighted blanket, if you have anxiety or any of those things, sleep with a weighted blanket or take a nap with a weighted blanket, you are going to feel refreshed.
It's also like the, what do they call it? I have a blanket for my dog, a vest, a fear vest.
That's right.
Exactly like that.
That's exactly right. But we can do it ourselves at a dinner party or at the airport. I've worked with people that are afraid to fly, and they've done that in the airport. They call me the next week and they're like, oh my God, I could fly. I had no problems. So it's about being proactive, understanding what your fear responses are, understanding it's not you, you're not weak, you're not bad, you're not wrong, you're not lazy, you're not stupid, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just fear. So now I'm going to give you solutions, i.e. use the stretch, risk, and die. And, I've got, this one and other ones I've said already today. And then you start doing that and this outweighs this, right? This is like, you see this. It's no longer like you see it for who it is. You're like, aha, I see you. And you do one of these, right? You see it. Oh, I'm going to do fear response. I'm going to do what we call proactive behaviors. Fear response, proactive behavior, fear response, proactive behavior, so that you can actually stay in tune and stay true to yourself.
Good stuff. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Question here from Clark asks, do you recommend breathing exercises along with that?
Oh, absolutely. Breathing exercises are awesome. Breathing, what they've discovered about breathing, which of course Eastern religions have known, Eastern spirituality has known for centuries, is that breathing is critical to our well-being. So now they're seeing that research is showing that deep breathing every day actually loosens your organs in the sense of it gives it space. It helps you digest better. So deep breathing, awesome. Really recommend it. But when I deep breathe, I actually want you to breathe all the way up. I want you to think of it as this way. Like you're going to breathe up from your stomach, right? All the way up through your heart, right? You're going to breathe all in those lungs and you're going to take it all the way. Your lung, let's just imagine, I want you to imagine your lungs all the way up here. And then I want you to take it and push it back down your back. So you're going to breathe all the way and let it float up your back, okay? What that does is it actually puts your shoulder in the proper place so that you have your neck in the proper place so that your neck doesn't hurt anymore. Your shoulders are pushed back and relaxed. You're in a proper position, in proper posture. And it's all through breathing, like deep breath all the way up to your lungs and just let it flow up. Whenever I do that, my neck gets readjusted. It's just, it's in the proper place in my body. Let's put it that way. I'm not a Pilates instructor or a yoga instructor. I just know. I just know too much.
When is your next class there in June there? And then you've got the other class too that I just saw was on your website here. Telling people about was the
Fearless Foundation Workshop.
Yes.
The Fearless Foundation Workshop is going to be September in DC. So the very next time to see me live and to work with me is Fearless Conversations in Scottsdale in June. And it is on early bird right now. So it's half off right now because it's early bird. So grab it if you'd like. That is going to be all about communication. And if you're a coach, if you do sales, if you're a consultant, this will blow your mind. I have people that are experienced salespeople, experienced coaches, experienced consultants come to my program. I just had one a little while ago, and a woman came up to me. She goes, I've been coaching successfully for years, and I feel like I know nothing, like you just taught me more in 3 days than I have learned in 8 years being a coach. And that's pretty much what most experienced coaches tell me, that they come to Fearless Conversations and you're learning new communication techniques and you're seeing people differently and you're seeing yourself differently. So Fearless Conversations is all about how to be a masterful communicator and a masterful coach. And Fearless Foundation Workshop, of course, is where you get your live Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom. And that's 3 days too with me.
Good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to get signed up for that and head on out there and see you there in June.
Yeah, Scott, you are going to love it. You are going to be like, oh my God. Yeah, I just taught at a huge mastermind, 7-8-figure businesses. All of them had to be 7-8 figure. It was about, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 people in the room. And I gave this similar talk about fear and talked about fear. And I got to tell you, every single person in that room came up to me at some time in that weekend, was like, oh my God, I have to hire you. So like I said, it's not money based. You reach $1 million or 10 million doesn't mean your fear goes away. Right. So fear is with you the rest of your life. That's why I want you to get masterful with it. So it doesn't trick you anymore. So it doesn't put you beating yourself up anymore. I want you to have high self-esteem, high self-confidence, not from a fake place, but from a real authentic place. Right.
Because that's the thing, no matter what we deal with, whether it was my first deal where I'm at today, and there are a lot of people getting the first thing, we all have fears. It's just all about overcoming, and you have to evolve your skills as you get better at what you do to take things to the next level, right, Rhonda?
Oh my God, that's the whole point. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can, if you think you're going to get to where I know for me, I'll just talk about myself is, I know when I first made my first $50,000, right? It was like, oh my God, I made $50,000, right? And then I think the next level was, I think I made 75 maybe, and then I hit 100 and then 125. And I have to tell you, 125 to 50, huge energetic jump. And the problems you have are completely different. And you better have skills. Otherwise, that 125 is going to go back down to 50. Mm-hmm. And then when I made, when I made 125, I think I jumped up to 250 really quick. And then from 250 to 5 was actually so much easier because, right, I'd done so much heavy lifting, learning those skills. And now I'm refining and discerning, but I have the foundation. And then going from 500 to 1 million, again, different skill level, but I already had the foundation and I'd already seen my success. So I knew, because this is another thing that happens when you become fearless, which I'm sure you know, Scott, is that when you really understand how fear works, any problem doesn't faze you. Like there's no problem. It's like, oh, this is my next thing I've got to deal with or solve, but it's not a problem. It doesn't take you off course. It doesn't screw you up. It doesn't make you beat yourself up. It doesn't tell you, oh, you're a loser now. It's literally like, oh, I've got to raise $500,000 in 4 days. Okay, get to it. Like that's literally what it becomes. And that's mastery. And I remember the moment when I really got, you really can do anything you want. Like really, it's not like fantasy. It really is. But if you don't have the skills, it's always going to be a fantasy. It's going to be something that you hope for. You'll succeed, fail, and you'll always like have a reason why it's not working for you. But once you understand it and build that foundation, you'll be able to do anything you want. Mm-hmm. Anything. Mm-hmm. Right, Scott?
I totally 100% agree with that. It's I look back over the last 10 years and yeah, we've had ups and downs. We went from boom to here, boom, then back down here. Like, what the hell did I do wrong? Oh, I got to develop the skills. I wasn't ready to keep that aspect, but building those skills up and getting the right coaching to do things, then it blew me past where I used to be.
That's right.
And everybody's got different numbers. My numbers are different from everybody else out there. But no matter what you're struggling with, if you work on it and you get the type of stuff that Ron is talking about, and she's an expert at her field. That's why we have her here to help you guys out there that are struggling with overcoming fears, and whether it's talking to asset managers or it's talking to people about raising capital is always a very uncomfortable thing a lot of times. Taking the time to understand what those fears are, it's not so scary anymore. You expand it out of your stretch zone into your risk zone.
That's right.
And you don't have the fear of death.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because you totally get it. Like, I'm not afraid to die anymore. I remember that moment too. But it's like, yeah, once you start understanding that it's just a skill to acquire, and that you have the capacity to acquire that skill, and you don't have it because you're a bad person. You don't have it because you're flawed. You don't have it because you're weak or you're stupid. You don't have it because nobody taught it to you. And you have to take the action and decide. Again, I keep pointing to this because you actually have to decide. You actually have to decide. So you have to decide this. And once you decide, man, your decisions become so much more impactful. And like Scott said, that stretch zone, that comfort zone becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And, one of the best compliments I think anybody can give anybody is, oh my God, you're so comfortable in your skin. And why are they comfortable in their skin? Because their comfort zone is huge, yes. Right? And that's what I want for you.
Exactly. Guys, gals, they're on there. Take advantage of what she's offering up at 50% off for us here, guys. You will not be disappointed. I can tell you firsthand experience. I can tell you Steph would vouch for it as well. We've run in some similar circles and things like that. And I can tell you this, you're in good hands with Rhonda. And you can always say, help me, Rhonda.
That's right. That's right. I actually have something for my classes that have a thing called Ask Rhonda Anything, Help Me, Rhonda. So there you go.
Good stuff. Once again, guys, if you go to fearlessliving.org/FLTP, right?
FLTP.
FLTP, you get everything at half off there for you today. Thank you so much for your generosity on that, Rhonda.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
To everybody out there. So
I want to do it. I want to do it because the more people that are fearless, the more the world becomes a better place to live. Yeah. And the more we become skilled and the more that we welcome and enjoy each other. And, we're just happy to see each other instead of scared to. Yeah.
Exactly. Definitely. All right. Well, hey, Rhonda, we're going to let you get going on your weekend. I know. Thank you so much for taking time on your busy day. Love you. Big hugs.
Thank you.
Let's schedule a call. I'll spend some time online with you as well.
Perfect.
Expand your comfort zone, some of the online stuff. How's that sound?
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. Be fearless. You can do this. You can do this. Thank you. Be fearless.
Awesome. Great stuff, Rhonda. Thanks, guys. All right, guys. Hey, that's going to wrap it up for Note C.A.M.P Day 2. What a great way to rock it out. We are going to call it a day so that you guys can go out, enjoy your evening. Once again, take advantage of what Rhonda's there, what's offering. Been to her training before. Just absolutely phenomenal. And I know I'll give you an example. A lot of people say, hey, Scott, you're fearless. I'm not really fearless. There's still things that scare me. There's still things that shock me. It's just that, like Rhonda said, I've expanded my comfort zone, and maybe I've been either smart enough or dumb enough to do it mostly online where you guys can see what's going on. But part of the biggest things that has helped me not be afraid of failure, not be afraid of reaching out to asset managers, not being afraid of raising capital, or not afraid to make mistakes. I make mistakes every day. It's the fact is that I expand my comfort zone. Rhonda is one of the people that helped me out do that. I hope you've absolutely enjoyed it. And what a great day 2. And we're at the halfway point, everybody. We still got an amazing day 3 tomorrow. We'll be right back at 9:00 in the morning here at notecamp.live, the WCN War Room. Have a great Friday evening. Go out, rest yourself, take some notes, share online. Hey, everybody's in the running still for the big prize at the end. So we'll see you all tomorrow morning, bright and early, everybody. Have a good evening. Bye. No, Scott, that FLTP link is, if you click on it, you go scroll down, there's another link for the conversations there. I don't think the one in the Scottsdale is the one below. That's the conversation one. Okay. Whoops, let me try closing this.